Everyone looks rich right now. Scroll for 10 seconds on TikTok or Instagram, and it feels like everyone is living a better life than you. Luxury apartments, expensive dinners, perfect routines, clean aesthetics, no stress. But here's the strange part. At the exact same time, people are more financially stressed than they've been in years. So how can both be true? How can everyone look like they're winning while quietly struggling at the same time? That's what this video is about. Because this isn't just social media being fake. It's something deeper. It's a system where looking rich is easier than being rich, and in many cases, more rewarding. Welcome to what people are starting to call the fake rich economy. Now, think about your own experience. The last time you opened your phone, what did you see? Maybe someone traveling, maybe someone upgrading their life, maybe someone casually spending money like it's nothing. And for a moment, it creates a feeling. Not always jealousy. Sometimes it's just a quiet pressure, like you're slightly behind, like everyone else figured something out that you didn't. That feeling is important because it doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from repetition, seeing the same pattern again and again until it starts to feel normal. And once something feels normal, you stop questioning it. You just compare yourself to it. But here's the first thing most people don't realize.
What you're seeing online is not a lie, but it's not the full truth either. It's a version of reality, optimized for attention. And attention has very specific rules. Things that look expensive perform better. Things that look aesthetic perform better. Things that look successful perform better. So over time, people don't just share their lives. They start shaping their lives around what performs. Not consciously at first. It starts small. Better lighting, cleaner background, slightly nicer places. Then gradually, more curated moments, more intentional spending, more effort into how things appear. And eventually, the line between living life and presenting life starts to blur. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Because in today's world, you don't actually need to be wealthy to create the appearance of wealth. You just need access. Access to locations, access to products, access to short-term experiences. For example, a high-end apartment doesn't have to be yours. It can be rented for a day. An expensive outfit doesn't have to be permanent. It can be returned. A luxury dinner doesn't have to be regular. It just has to be filmed once. And when those moments are captured, they look like a lifestyle. But in reality, they're often isolated moments, presented as something continuous. Now again, this doesn't mean people are trying to deceive.
Most of the time, they're just participating in what works because the algorithm rewards it. And when something is rewarded, more people copy it, which leads to more of the same content, which then makes it feel even more normal. This is how a visual standard gets created, not by reality changing, but by visibility changing. The things you see the most start to define what you think is average, even if they're not. Now, let's go one layer deeper, because not all of this is staged. In fact, a large part of modern lifestyle content is real, but it's supported by something most people don't fully think about: payment systems, subscriptions, installments, buy now, pay later services. Instead of paying a large amount up front, people spread the cost over time, which makes expensive things feel smaller, more manageable, more normal. You're not paying $2,000 at once. You're paying smaller amounts across weeks or months. And psychologically, that changes how it feels.
It removes the in-between. It removes the trade-offs. It removes the context. So when you compare the two, you're comparing a complete life to a selected highlight. And that comparison will always feel unfair. Now here's something even more subtle. Over time, people don't just consume this content. They respond to it. They adjust their own behavior.
Maybe you upgrade something, not because you need it, but because it feels like the next step. Maybe you spend a little more because it feels normal now. Maybe you present your own life in a slightly more polished way. And just like that, you become part of the same system. Not intentionally, just naturally. Because humans adapt to their environment. And right now, the digital environment rewards appearance. So appearance improves faster than reality. And that gap is what creates the fake rich economy. It's not built on people lying. It's built on incentives. The incentive to look successful. The incentive to share the best moment. The incentive to keep up.
Now, let's slow this down for a second, because this is where most people misunderstand the situation. It's easy to blame individuals, to say people are faking, exaggerating, pretending. But that misses the bigger picture. The system is designed in a way where visibility goes to what looks best, not what is most accurate. And when visibility turns into opportunity, people follow that path. Because attention can turn into income. Followers can turn into brand deals. Views can turn into real money. So even if someone starts by simply sharing their life, over time, there's a natural pressure to make that life look more appealing, more polished, more aspirational. Not necessarily dishonest, just optimized. And that optimization slowly changes behavior. Now, here's another layer most people don't talk about. Even the audience starts to prefer this. If two videos appear on your screen, one showing an average day and one showing a high-end lifestyle, which one are you more likely to watch? Most people pick the second one. Not because they're shallow, but because humans are naturally drawn to aspiration, to improvement, to the idea of something better. And platforms learn from that behavior. They show more of what gets attention, which means more aspirational content, which increases the gap even further. This is a feedback loop.
And once a loop like this forms, it becomes very hard to notice because it feels normal. Now let's bring this back to you, because this isn't just about understanding the system. It's about how the system affects you. That quiet feeling of being behind, that subtle pressure to do more, to earn more, spend more, show more, that doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from repeated exposure to a filtered version of reality. And if you're not aware of it, it slowly shapes your decisions, your expectations, even your definition of success. But once you see it clearly, something changes. You start noticing patterns. You start questioning what you see. You start separating appearance from reality. And that awareness gives you something important. Distance. Distance from unnecessary pressure. Distance from automatic comparison. Distance from the feeling that you're always behind. Because you realize you're not comparing your life to someone else's life. You're comparing it to a presentation. And those are not the same thing. Now, none of this means you should ignore what you see online or assume everything is misleading. There are real stories, real progress, real success, but they exist alongside editing, selection, timing, and framing. And once you understand that mix, you see things more clearly. Because the goal isn't to reject the system, the goal is to understand it, to recognize how it works so it doesn't control how you feel. Because in a world where attention is constantly pulling you toward appearances, clarity becomes an advantage. And most people don't have that clarity. They just scroll, absorb, compare, repeat, without realizing what's happening. So the next time you open your phone and it feels like everyone is ahead, pause for a second. Look a little closer. Ask a simple question. What am I actually seeing? A full reality? Or a carefully selected moment? Because that one question changes everything. And once you start asking it, you stop chasing the image and start understanding the system behind it. And that's when the pressure begins to fade. Not completely, but enough to think clearly again.